All right. What's the date today? April 5th? April 5th. All right, cool. All right, couple announcements here, a little recognition.
Kind of weird. All of a sudden, you can't see me.
Hey, what's going on, Mom? I can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Where you guys at? Charleston? All right, so April 5th. So the thing going on right now, it's called the Spring into Health promo. So hashtag Spring into Health, the all access challenge pack that is typically $199. So you get the 1 year access to Beachbody On Demand. You get a month of Shakeology. You get the containers. You get the Fixate cookbook. So that's usually the $199 package, which is that's a great deal. But this month it's only $160 for that all access. So for $160, your customers can lock in the full year of the Beachbody On Demand all access and a month of Shakeology, and then they get you for a year, with your accountability group. So that's $160 right now. Also, we got the Super Saturday event coming up this weekend. So for most of you, it's probably going to be Saturday, April 8th. There's always a local event that's within driving distance, for the most part for you guys. So whatever you got to do to get there, whether you've been there before, if you've never been there, it's so important to get to as many events as you can and create that kind of culture on your team. The coaches that do that, the coaches that get to every event, the coaches that create that culture on their team, they're the ones that have the businesses that are growing like crazy because it just becomes more and more real, and you connect with more and more successful coaches every time you get to one of those. So April 8th, I'm going to the one in Miami. Some of you guys might be doing it on like a Friday night, or some are on Sunday, but for the most part, they're going to be April 8th. Okay, so a little recognition here for the coaches that crushed it on the weak leg team volume. So these are the coaches last week that had over 300 team volume points on their weak leg. So you guys know that every coach has a weak leg, or two legs. You have a left and a right leg. Some of you guys, your left is the strong one. Some of you guys, it's your right. But everyone has two legs. And all the coaches in your one leg, every time they buy or sell something, it creates team volume in that leg. And you're really only as strong as your weakest leg. So I like to recognize the coaches that have two strong legs. So these coaches had 300 team volume points in their weaker of their two legs. So over 300 team volume points. We got Tanisha Mizo, Martha Katz, Lisa Goldberg, Ryan Williams, Emily Crushore, Ashley Coyne, Delaney Gleason, got that right, Francesca Calhoun, Brooke Reed, Tim Ottaway, Samantha Fulham, Suzanne Reyes, Nicole Felvey, Marilyn Bourget, Craig Schmidt, Jenny Dollinger, Brittany Dimmick, Beth McDonald, and George Davies, with over 500 team volume points in their weaker of their two legs. Last week, we got Sarah Olinsky, Elle Deal, Susanna Bell. I'm just going to mute. All right. We got Elle Deal, Susanna Bell, Melissa Virgil, Margaret Mackerer, Kelly Marks, Barry Bachlet, Jill Wagner, Dave Yakel, Josh Morgan, Brittany Miller, and Carrie Steelman Schmidt. Carrie was just shy of the 1,000 club. So here's the coaches that were in the 1,000 club that had over 1,000 team volume points in their weaker of their two legs. Nicoletta Sidowitz, Lauren Kellum, Shauna Valenta, Joe Policino, Chris Bachlet, Wade Kephart, Ashley Felddyson, Pete Reelman, Danielle Hills, Amy Reelman, Second Business Center, Charles Wallace, Stacy Slade, Marie Sardelli, Gage Eckert, my Third Business Center, Caroline Nathan, and Robert Rodriguez. So those coaches in that 1,000 club, that's like a pretty coveted spot there. Those are the coaches that have some really good things going on in their weak leg. So obviously they have some really good things going on in both legs. So here's the coaches that had over 3,000 team volume points in the weaker of their two legs. Terry Bachlet, Amy Morgan, and Alyssa Sardelli. With over 5,000 team volume points in their weak leg, Michelle Phillips, Amy Reelman, my Second Business Center, and Andrea Wallace. Andrea was just shy of the 10,000 club. And then in the 10,000 club, we got Beth Reelman, and myself. All right. So the coaches for March, a couple of the top sponsorers. So Carrie Steelman-Schmidt at the top of the list sponsored 8 coaches last month. Emily Crushore and Caroline Nathan sponsored 6. And Cassie Schmelzinger with 5. And then with 3, we got Amy Morgan, Andrea Wallace, Beth McDonald, Colleen Jones, Giada Constantino, Jennifer Cutlip, Mary Beth Darling, Marie Sardelli, and Tyler Smith. And then last recognition here. So these are the coaches that had over 10 Success Club points. So they helped at least 5 people commit to a challenge pack and a challenge group last month. So with 10, we got Stephanie Ryan, Delaney Cleason, Emily Crushore, Emily Kabaka, Danielle Hills, Mary Beth Darling, Jill Wagner, Andrea Wallace, Kelly Marks, myself, Amy Morgan, Carrie Steelman-Schmidt, Celine Bacardi, Ralph Schooner, Caroline Nathan, Kylie Winay, I believe, Chris Bachlet. Kylie, you're going to have to help me with that again. Chris Bachlet, Brooke Reed, Beth McDonald, Cassie Schmelzinger, and Ashley Fell Dyson. All right, so that's your recognition and a couple of announcements there. So got a special guest speaker. I know he was kind of trying to get to his spot at Starbucks. I see him on there. All right, cool. So Josh is someone that I've been hearing a lot about through the Beachbody grapevine. So I got a little thing here I pulled up on Josh. So Josh is a member of the John Maxwell team and founder of Legacy Leadership. He currently serves on the John Maxwell team's Presidential Advisory Council. He specializes in putting PD and leadership into terms that Beachbody coaches can understand and apply to their business. Josh mentors 15-plus BD coaches one-on-one, including 7 of the elite top 10 and 6 superstar diamonds. He runs online training groups with over 800 in attendance each month and speaks regularly on team calls, Super Saturdays, and team retreats. His message will encourage you, inspire you, and challenge you to grow from the inside out and build the life and business you've always wanted. So, Josh, we're so excited that you took the time out of your busy schedule to hop on here. I'm going to let you unmute yourself, or I can unmute you actually here.
Yeah, you can do it.
And
Perfect.
Thanks so much, man. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you letting me slip into a Starbucks to do the call. We're actually out looking at houses today, and I made like the biggest entrepreneur mistake ever. I didn't take my laptop with me. I don't know how I left the house. Well, actually, I do know, because my laptop power source went out on my brand new MacBook, and so I'm a little bit bummed. But thankfully, when you live life by design, you literally can work from anywhere. So here's the thing. First of all, thank you so much for having me on the call. Thanks for the whole team for hopping on I think this is a Wednesday or something like that. Thanks for hopping on and hanging out with me. So excited to add value to your lives today. As I'm out, I'm actually with my wife actually shopping for our dream house right now. And here I am on a Wednesday. Most of the world is at work, working for someone else's dream, working for someone else's retirement plan, working for someone else so that 40 years from now, they can finally retire, maybe buy their dream house, maybe finally do the thing they've wanted to do for their life. And that's why I love speaking to entrepreneurs, because you get it. You don't want to work for someone else for the next 40 years, building their dream, building their retirement plan so that they can go golfing every day. You want to build your own dream. I'm at the age of 33, shopping for my dream house. And when I say dream house, I don't mean like a decent house that I'm talking like we're going to get everything that we want in a house at the age of 33. And it's not going to be something that we worry about. Honestly, the mortgage is not going to be a big deal. And I don't say any of that stuff to brag, okay? I say that stuff because, number one, you guys need to hear that it exists. You need to hear that there's a life better and greater than what mom and dad said you could have. better and greater than what you've seen your friends have, better and greater than what honestly you have even yet imagined. A couple of years ago, this life wasn't even something that I had imagined yet. I just wanted to quit my day job. I was just sick and tired of detailing cars and watching my boss play golf every day while I freaking scrubbed grease and grime out of other people's cars. I was sick and tired of that. And I just wanted to do what I love for a living. And I think so many of you see probably Patrick's posts, my posts from Top 10, and you see this whole life by design thing, and you want that. Now, obviously you want that, or you wouldn't be on this call today. You wouldn't be hanging out with us, at 4 o'clock Eastern time on a Wednesday unless you wanted something better. But here's the thing that I really, really, really need you to understand. And it's something that we all need to post about more. It's something we all need to talk about more. Sometimes we are really good about showing you the life by design, but we don't show you enough of the behind the scenes that created life by design. And so today I want to talk to you about some of the behind the scenes work that it takes to get the life that you really, really want. For the last couple of years, I've been mentoring some of the top coaches in the network, and it started off with Brittany Powers. I started working with her a couple of years ago, and then from there it just kind of kept growing. I just kept kind of networking, and now it's to where I work with 7 different top 10s, and I'm always observing, and I'm always trying to figure out, why are things working? Why are things not working? Who's getting the best results? Who's not getting the best results? And at the end of last year, at that time I was not working with 7 top 10s. I was actually working with more like 3 top 10s, and I sat down and I was just evaluating myself and evaluating my own training and evaluating my own process, and was just really looking at the people who had the greatest results with me and the people who hadn't had results with me. And of course, as a leader, we're constantly blaming ourselves when others don't get the results, whether it's fair or not, whether it was our fault or not. We still have to at least look in the mirror and say, what could I do better? How could I have helped people more? And the thing that I realized was that the people who were getting the greatest results working with me were people who had really big, scary, crazy goals in a very short timeline to make it happen. In 2015, Brittany Powers was number 35 when we started working together in, I guess that would have been like April. But I think it was like October or November, she was not in the top 10 yet. In fact, she was, I think, around somewhere between 15 and 20, and it was starting to look like it wasn't going to happen. But she had such a huge goal on such a short timeline that she had no choice but to show up every single day. And if you don't know, she did end up hitting top 10. She literally barely made it by the skin of her teeth. Fast forward a year to 2016, and I was working very closely with Raina Odell. Same thing. She was number 15, literally, with 2 weeks left in the year. With 2 weeks left in the year. And it looked like there was no chance. It looked like there was no way. But again, because she had such an urgent goal that was right in front of her, she did anything and everything she had to do to make that goal happen. We ended up sliding into number 9 by the end of the year. And I started thinking about that. And I started thinking about my own business. And I started thinking about the growth that I've seen in my business. I started my business at the beginning of, I guess it was 2014. My very first year, I only made about $500, okay? If you have had a rough start in your business, I always like to tell people, like, I'm your greatest hope. Because my first year, I made $500 in 12 months. I signed 2 clients. Nobody wanted to talk to me. Nobody wanted to have anything to do with me. I was the guy that was detailing cars, playing in rock bands on weekends. So when I said, hey, would you like to chat about your life and about your goals and about your leadership? People were like, no, thanks, bro. Why don't you wash my car? And then we'll talk about prices on washing my car. That's all people wanted to do, right? But my second year, my business began to grow and grow and grow and grow. And by the end of that second year, I had quit my day job and had my first 5-figure month. And the reason, when I look back, the reason I saw such huge growth in that second year was not necessarily because I was a better life coach. It wasn't because I was a better public speaker. It wasn't because any talent or skill had developed anymore. I'm sure my social media skills are probably a little bit better because they were just horrible when I first started. But the main thing that changed was my second year, I made monthly goals and I made weekly goals. Monthly goals and weekly goals. And this is what I want to talk to you about today, is creating urgency in your business. Every huge jump, I don't know about you guys, but I always want to see huge jumps in my business, right? In my health and my fitness, I want to see huge jumps. I've never sat down and said, wouldn't it be so cool if my arms could just be 5% bigger? I've never looked at my income and said, wouldn't that be just great if I could have a 5% increase in my pay? No, that's what the corporate world does. I didn't want to be a part of the corporate world because I was sick and tired of 5% pay raises. And actually where I was working, it was like we were getting annual pay decreases, not even increases, man. We all want big growth, big changes. Now, as the compound effect teaches, big growth happens a little bit at a time, correct? But here's the thing. I always like to say it this way. If you take $100 a month and invest it, it will have a compound effect and it will over time equal great results. But if you had the option of investing $100 a month or $1,000 a month, which one is going to get you the better results? Sorry, my hair is going to go crazy now because the wind just picked up and it's going to go nuts. If you could choose between investing $100 or $1,000, how many of you agree that the $1,000 compound would be way better than the $100 compound? So this is not me trying to get rid of the compound effect. This is not me saying that there is such thing as a get rich quick, because there isn't. This is just me trying to teach you how to increase the amount that you have compounded, okay? And so what I need you to really, 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 really hone into is this idea of urgency. And it's something that I try to create in my life month after month after month after month. And from working with Beachbody coaches, I see coaches aiming for elite that come up short time and time again. And the reason is because all they're aiming for is an end of the year goal. And so they're not focused on what they need to accomplish this month, and they're not focused on what they need to accomplish this week. Now, I know that that only applies to probably like 10% of the people on this call. Most of the people on the call, I want you to think of it this way. You have a monthly goal to hit Success Club. You're saying, Josh, I already have monthly goals. You know, my monthly goal is to hit Success Club. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that that monthly goal is still not urgent enough. And here's how I know that. I know that because 90% of you, somebody get a really good screenshot of my hair just blowing all over the place, because that's awesome. Most of you, in fact, 90% of the network waits until about the 27th of the month and you go, oh crap, I need to hit Success Club. And so on the 27th of the month, you put every bit of work and every bit of energy. I mean, on the 27th of the month, you are messaging like everyone on the planet, trying to get somebody to buy a challenge pack, correct? And most of you find a way to pull it off, but a lot of you don't, because at the end of the day, not all of you are capable of pulling off Success Club in 3 days when you didn't do anything the first 27 days. And here's what I have found. I have a training group that I run called the 1 Week Month, and I encourage people to make weekly goals instead of just monthly goals. And then we have an actual activity tracker app. Just like you guys have for challenge groups, I have an app created for my training group that logs your vital behaviors. And in the first week, I hear this every single month. Oh my gosh, Josh, I've worked harder this week than I have all last year. Because you think you work really, really, really hard. And the truth is you do, but most of you don't work really hard on the right things. You spend hour after hour after hour scrolling your newsfeed, playing on word swag, trying to decide between turquoise and hot pink and fuchsia, trying to pick on Rona design between glitter and sparkle, or getting on Canva. You waste so much time doing all the wrong things. And at the end of the day, it's because you don't have enough urgency. Because in your mind, right now, I think it's like the 4th or the 5th of the month, I don't know, something like that. Right now, you're thinking, I got 25 days to hit Success Club. And so in your mind, you have subconsciously decided how much work and how much effort it's going to take to hit Success Club 5. And you know you don't need 30 days of focus to hit Success Club. You know that you really only need 3 or 4. And so you keep putting off the important things over and over and over until you absolutely have to. So, number 1, I want you to write this down. Urgency creates focus. Urgency creates focus. When you have an urgent goal, for instance, I leave tomorrow for Phoenix. I'll be flying out to Phoenix to speak for Super Saturday. Hopefully some of you will be there and I'll get to meet you. I fly out tomorrow, so tomorrow morning I will wake up and I will be incredibly focused about packing because I always pack last minute. I hate packing in advance. Packing is the stupidest thing ever. To be honest, a lot of times before I leave on a trip, I just buy new clothes. So that way I don't even have to think about it. I just throw new clothes into a suitcase and I take off on my trip. But in that hour that I have to pack, I find a way to get all my crap together, to get it all packed. And honestly, if I'd have packed 2 days before, it probably would have taken me 4 or 5 hours because I would have just overthought it. I wouldn't have been urgent about it. I'd have found other things that I could do or should do, whatever. When you have an urgent goal, and I want to challenge everyone on this call, and if Patrick wants to correct me later, he totally can. This is his team, not mine. I want to challenge each of you, like I do in my 1 week month. Instead of thinking, how can I hit Success Club this month? I want you to think, how could I hit Success Club this week? How can I hit Success Club this week? Now, some of you just threw up in your mouth a little bit, which is why I've created a hashtag that says, let's puke together. That's my hashtag for the year. If you go on Instagram and look up let's puke together under tags, we got like 1,200 different posts under that hashtag now for my webinars and my groups, because I'm trying to create this concept of, if your goals don't scare you, if they don't make you want to vomit, they're not big enough to force you into action. Urgency creates focus. And some of you in your head are going, Josh, I have a family, and I don't want to sacrifice my family, and I don't want to be like some of these people that are workaholics that never see their family. I'm not asking you to never see your family. I'm asking you to set a goal that actually will give you more time with your family. Because right now you waste 3 or 4 hours a day and probably play on your phone all night long. And your spouse probably gets onto you all the time and says things like, oh my gosh, are you ever going to get off that phone? Anybody ever heard that from your spouse before? And the problem is you're always on your phone, not because you're really working, but because you never did any of the right work. And so you always feel like there's something to do because you never did any of the right stuff. Here's what I believe. When you set bigger goals, it actually forces you to be more focused and more intentional with your time. And it actually frees up more time to spend with your family. When I first started my business, I actually quit my health journey for a little bit. I had been doing P90X for a couple of years. I was not working with Beachbody coaches at the time. And I was like, man, I do not have time for a business and working out every day. In my second year, that year that my business took off, you know what I started doing? My wife ordered T25. She got a challenge pack. And I started doing T25. I said, you know what, Josh? You can make 25 minutes. You know what happened? By working out and working my business and working a full-time job, I became more intentional with my time than I had ever been before. And I found that I was actually more productive in my business, even though I was technically doing more things. By adding a workout into my day, I didn't lose time. I actually increased the amount of time that I had because I knew, Josh, the only way you can have a full-time job and a health journey and a business and 3 kids and be the kind of dad you want to be is to be really, really laser focused with your time. So if you think that having big goals means abandoning your family and giving up the things that are important to you, you're wrong. I would say if you don't set big goals, you have abandoned your family and given up the things that are important to you. Because most of you said when you signed up, maybe not when you first signed up, but when you decided to go all in, you said something like, my family needs this. I want to retire my spouse. I want to bring myself home from work so that I can spend more time with my kids, so that I can be the one picking up my kids instead of paying someone else to pick up my kids. You said your family needed this opportunity. So what in the world are you doing screwing around, hitting Success Club 3 every month, and wasting all of this time and energy for something that's not even helping your family? And some of you have even thought that the solution would be to give up Beachbody because it's not actually doing the thing you wanted it to do. And that's not Beachbody's fault. That's your fault. If Beachbody is not providing for you the kind of life that you wanted it to, it's not Beachbody's fault. It's your fault for not setting big enough goals, for not truly going all in, for not truly becoming laser focused on doing the things it takes to move your business forward. I've yet to find a person who does all the right things who doesn't get results. I've just found lots of people who want results who aren't willing to do the right things. And I know I've said right things like 100 times right now, and some of you are saying, what are the right things? It's very simple. They're the vital behaviors. That's it. I built my business as a non-Beachbody coach using the vital behaviors. That's one of the reasons I love Beachbody so much, is because our values align so perfectly. When I started working with Beachbody coaches and they told me about the vital behaviors, I was like, I freaking hate you guys right now, because it took me a whole year of experimenting to find what you guys call the vital behaviors. I had to figure that out on my own. And we literally just hand it to you guys and you don't use it. And it pisses me off, because you're literally handed the golden nugget, you just won't eat it. The vital behaviors is all you need. Do I use Facebook ads? Yes. But I didn't until I had a six-figure business. I built my business to 6 figures a year with no Facebook ads whatsoever, with no Instagram following whatsoever, with no social media skills whatsoever. I was just invite all day and all night. I was adding value to people. I was talking to people. I was being a product of my own product, reading John Maxwell books, getting on calls to learn and grow. I was literally doing the vital behaviors. So number 1, urgency creates focus. Number 2, urgency breeds creativity. Write this down. Urgency breeds creativity. Here's the other thing that I have found, is that when I have a goal that's very, very urgent, it forces me to find new ways of doing things that I would have never even been looking for if I had some tiny little goal. It forces me to find new ways. For instance, when I got my business big enough, I started having to think about, okay, I'm starting to run out of time. I only have so much time for one-on-one calls. And I was meeting with a guy, having coffee, and he said, dude, it sounds to me like you're running out of time. You need to come up with some type of product that you can sell to the masses. You need to write a book, a curriculum, or something. On the way home that day, had 20 ounces of cold brew in me. I was flying high on caffeine. I came up with an idea for my very first training group called Clarity and Focus. It's still a training group I offer on my website. It's kind of like my bottom line, like entry-level group for just anyone that wants to get into one of my groups but doesn't really have the money for my other groups. It's $40, okay? But when I launched it, I was still working a full-time job and doing one-on-one calls, and I didn't charge back then what I do now. I was making maybe $2,000 a month at the time. I launched this very first training and had 80 people buy into it in the first week. At the time, it was $50, not $40. So I literally had a $4,000 week at a time when I was making $2,000 a month. That was a really, really cool week for me. But here's the thing. If I didn't have big goals, I wouldn't have been looking for the next step. And here's one of the things that I find with coaches, with entrepreneurs in general, is that we get burnt out sometimes because we haven't become creative enough to think about what's the next step. And we have some people that have been doing invites, doing 1,000 invites a day for the last 4 years. And at the end of the day, you're doing okay, you're making money, but you haven't taken your business to the next level because you haven't gotten creative enough to find that next level for you. You're not thinking next level. And as an entrepreneur, one of our responsibilities is to always be thinking ahead. What's the next step? What's the next level? How do I stay ahead of the curve? How do I stay ahead? And that's where creativity comes from. Number 3, and this one is maybe the most important. Urgency demands ownership. It demands ownership. And I've already mentioned some of these excuses, but I hear so many excuses from people that say things. I mean, they hear about the people that I work with, you know, they see people like Raina Odell and they're like, yeah, but I don't have 40,000 Instagram followers, or I don't have money to spend on Facebook ads like you do, Josh, or I don't have a social media skills. I'm not pretty enough or smart enough or whatever. People are constantly coming up with excuses. And here's the thing. When you set a goal that's so urgent that it demands full attention, you have no time and no energy to blame anyone else. The only thing you have time to do is look in the mirror and say, how do we get this done? And I like to use this analogy because a lot of us I know have kids, and kids for me especially really are kind of my soft spot. If you can get me to think about my kids, man, you can get me into action. And I want you to imagine, and if you don't have kids, you know, if you have pets, think about your pets, or if you have nephews or nieces, think about them. I want you to imagine your house. You're driving home from the coffee shop, from work, whatever, and your house where your kids are is on fire. And you pull into the driveway and you see that your house is on fire and you know that your kids are inside and you are just absolutely freaking out. And obviously your heart is pounding, your adrenaline is racing, your emotions are going crazy. And you run up to the house and for some reason, for whatever reason, your key is not working. You can't get the door unlocked. Now let me ask you this. How many of you would take time to whine and complain about the key not fitting? How many of you would take time to call up the company who made the key or made the lock and let them know how horrible their key is or how horribly they made the door? And then you go to open the garage door with your garage door opener and for some reason it's not working. Apparently the fire has somehow cut out the electricity. How many of you are stopping to whine and complain about the garage door? Is anybody have time for that? How many of you just find a way, whether it be kicking in the door because you've been doing PIO and you got super crazy donkey legs, whether it be punching through one of the windows. Dude, if my kids were in there on fire, I would figure out a way, if I had to straight up run through the drywall. I don't care. I would find a way to get into that house and save their life. Now, here's the thing. I know that that's incredibly extreme and you're going, yeah, of course, if my house were on fire, of course I'd find a way. Your house is on fire and your kids are inside. Because every single day that you wake up and you don't live your very best life, you are actually programming your kids to believe in a less than best life. For me, when I was detailing cars, we would check the bank account before putting gas in our car. We would literally carry around our phone with the calculator app pulled up at the grocery store, adding up every single thing that went in the freaking grocery cart to make sure we didn't get up to the front and accidentally go negative or get our card declined. My kids would bring home invitations to birthday parties, and I would not put them on the calendar, and I would hope that the invitations got lost. Not because I hate my kids, but because I knew I didn't have enough money to buy their friend a present. And there was no way I was going to show up at a birthday party with no present. My house was on fire. It was burning down. And I had to take ownership. I didn't have time. I didn't have time to blame the owner of the detail shop for not paying me enough. I didn't have time. If I took the time to do that, it was one more day That was one more second. That was one more thought that took me further away from busting down the door and getting my children the life they really deserved. I didn't have time to whine and complain about the government. I didn't have time. I didn't have time to complain about whether or not my tax return was what it should be or shouldn't be, or who won the election or who didn't win the election. I didn't have time for any of this crap. The only thing I had time for was to beat on that door, punch through that window, knock a hole through that drywall. The only thing I had time to do was look in the mirror and say, what else can you do? And that is why my second year, my business took off so much. Was there some luck on my side? Absolutely. There's always luck on your side when you work hard. The harder we work, the luckier we get. But the number one thing that drove my business was living every single day with an urgency of my house is on fire and I'm the only one that can save my kids. Too many of you are watching the house burn down and your kids are on the inside. And some of you have excuses that say, yeah, but life's really not that bad. We at least pay our bills. That's cool. That's awesome. Do you want your kids to grow up to just pay their bills? How many of you would ever tell your kids, I want you to grow up to live an average life where you're just happy to get by? Would anyone ever tell their kids that? If that's what you're doing, that's what you're telling your kids every single day. Because people don't do what you say, they do what you do. And you can tell them to dream all you want. You can tell them to shoot for the stars all you want. But at the end of the day, if you don't dream and you don't shoot the stars, you are pre-programming your children to never dream and never shoot for the stars. And I decided I want my kids to live the very best life that exists. And I want to set them up to find a life that's even better than what I know is even possible, so that they can provide for their kids a better life than I provide for them. And so that hopefully we just keep raising up. And this is why my business is called Legacy Leadership, because I want to leave behind a legacy that has my kids providing for the world something greater than what I was ever able to provide. I'm training over 800 people a month in training groups. That's not enough. It's not enough. And it sounds really cool. It sounds nice. It sounds pretty. But there's millions of people who need this message. There are millions of people that need your message. It's not even just about me and my kids or you and your kids. It's about the world around us. That every single day, their house is on fire and they don't even know how to get in to save their kids. They need you to teach them. So number one, urgency creates focus. Number two, urgency breeds creativity. And number three, urgency demands ownership. If you can create that kind of urgency in your life, not just each month, but every single week and every single day, you're going to wake up 6 months from now a totally different person. I tell people in my training group this all the time. 30 days is awesome, and that's how long my training groups are, is 30 days. Any longer than that, people get bored and fall off ship. You guys know that from challenge groups. Give me 30 days, and I can change your habits. But I cannot change your life in 30 days. If you want to change your life, you have to continue your habits. For most people, that takes anywhere from 6 months to a year and a half. And that's why some people get frustrated. Because some people have been in this business for 2 years and you're comparing yourself to other people that have been in this business for 2 years that have great results. Well, the problem is you were not as intentional and as focused as they were for those 2 years. And you have no right to be comparing yourself to that person. None whatsoever. You can only compare yourself to that person when you've had 2 years of laser focused, day in, day out activity. But if you can do that, I'm telling you right now, you can have whatever you want. And when it gets hard and when it feels like it's not worth it, I just want you to ask yourself this question that I ask myself every single day. Even if it takes 5 years, will it still be worth it to have the life I really want for the rest of my life? Here I am. I'm 33 years old. It actually didn't take as long as I thought. I'm 33 years old. And because I drink Shakeology every day, I'll probably live to 300. I have the next 270 years to enjoy this life that I've created. Does that mean that I just goof off every day and go house shopping every day? No. I work my butt off. I had a webinar last night for 2,500 people. I hustle. I still work. But it is a lot easier to work hard when you do what you love, and that's really all you have to do. So it's a lot easier than balancing that along with bills you can't pay, along with a family and a job that you absolutely hate. But keep asking yourself this question. Even if it takes 5 years, would it be worth it? I bet every single one of you on this call would say the answer is yes. Even if I had to sacrifice, even if I had to give up a couple hours a day of spending time with my kids or my family, if 5 years from now I'd have the life I've always wanted and could enjoy that forever, it would be 1,000,000% worth it. So if you're someone that needs help with that, say, Josh, I want to do this, but I could really use some extra accountability. I want to encourage you to check out my training groups. You can go to my website, which is joshuacoates.com, joshuacoates.com. And I'll put it up in the chat if I can find it on my phone. I'm not used to being on my phone doing this. Here we go. Chat. There we go. I found it. I'll put it in here. Joshua Coates. Sometimes people spell my last name wrong. There we go. There it is. You go to my website. The group that I mentioned a lot today was called the 1 Week Month Health Bet for Your Biz. It runs $199, and $50 of your money goes into a pot that you have the opportunity to win back at the end of the month. So if you do 85% of your activities, you get $50 plus a piece of the pot. Last month, we had people paid $200 to get in the group, and because only about 45% of them did 85% of their activities, 45% of the group got $108 back. They paid $200 for a group. They got $108 back. And I had testimonial after testimonial after testimonial of people that said, I doubled and tripled my Success Club numbers. I doubled and tripled my income. I rank advanced. I got my diamond back. I entered 1 star, or I got to that, whatever it was. Testimonial, people are literally, it's from any training group I've ever created, it is creating the most measurable results that I've ever seen in a training. Okay. And then someone's asking, is the one I mentioned on the webinar last night still? Yes. I have another training group. Enrollment is open until Sunday. It's called The Art of Recruiting. I used to run a group called The Art of Recruiting. This is a brand new revamped version that is going to also come with a tracker app that is also going to have the health bet concept. That's also on my website. It's $299. It's a little more expensive, but it is literally going to be the most value that's ever been packed into a training group. My mentor, Zach Spuckler, keeps telling me that I need to up my prices because my prices are way too cheap for the kind of results people are getting. And I just don't want to. I just don't want to up my prices because I want to make it affordable because I want to help people get results. At the end of the day, I make more than enough money. At this point, I want my training groups to help more people, not necessarily just make thousands of dollars off each person. Okay. So, Patrick, I have a couple minutes to hang out for some Q&A if you want. Totally up to you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks so much, Josh. That was great.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Where are you from originally?
So I actually was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where I live now. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh, very cool. Cool, man. All right, I had a quick question, and if anyone else has questions, you guys can just type it in the comments there, and I'll read them off. But my question would be like when you have a one-on-one client, what's the first question you ask them?
Great question. I ask them for their story. I always want to know how did you get into Beachbody, because I want to know their pain points. I want to know the transformation that they had, because that's the thing that I'm going to use to point back to over and over and over. Because if you don't know someone's transformation, I feel like you really don't know a person at all. If I know where you came from and what you went through to get where you're at, I can help you get anywhere. Because the same principles that it took to get you even say from overweight to fit, or from if you're a scrawny guy like myself, from scrawny to having some muscle, whatever that was, that your first transformation is the same principles you just apply over and over and over to whatever level of your business you're at. If you're trying to go emerald, trying to go diamond, trying to go 5-star, superstar, whatever it is, it's the same principle. Now, there may be some new skills that you need to learn and some new skills that you need to develop. But and again, that's why I love working with Beachbody coaches, because even if your business hasn't taken off yet, you've experienced some type of physical transformation and you understand the steps it takes to get from point A to point B. So that's my first question.
Awesome. And then once you kind of find those pain points, what's the next step there?
So then I always ask them, what do you really want in life? Like where do you really, really want to go? Because at the end of the day, if you don't find out where someone really wants to go, it really doesn't matter where they try to go this year. No one is ever going to go diamond or elite or anything else. Now, they might go there, but they'll get stuck there unless they understand where they really, really want to go in life. I want to know long-term, what's your big, crazy, scary dream? Because that's going to be the fuel for every single goal that we reach for along the way. And it also helps me ensure that you're not going to get stuck somewhere and just decide, you know what? I think I'm just okay with being diamond for the rest of my life. Because if you know what you really want in life, diamond is that's not even close, right? It's just everything between here and what I really want in life is just a stepping stone. And so I just keep understanding if I'm pushing for diamond, that's cool, but that's just a stepping stone. If I'm pushing for 2-star, great. But it's just a stepping stone. Elite, for me, I'm working to create a multi-7-figure business. That's just a stepping stone. Because the more you get out there, the more you realize how much more there is. And that's why John Maxwell says, I used to ask, how long will it take? And now I ask, how far can I go? I just want to see how far I can go, man. There's always another level. There's always another step. And if you don't understand that, you won't make it very far.
Do you ever have coaches that have a tough time answering that, or maybe they answer it and they say kind of what they want their life to look like, but they just say something really cool, but they don't really believe they can get there?
What you just said there is what almost everyone says. I want this, but
right.
And that's one of the main reasons people hire me, is obviously the accountability factor, but because I'm the person that won't ever let you use the word but. But is just not allowed, because almost every single person will tell you what they want. So once I find out what they want with their life, then I ask, okay, so what do you want this year? What are you willing to do this year to get you closer to that? And the same thing happens. Well, I really want to go superstar diamond, but I don't know if I have the pieces in place. I hate that excuse so bad. People are always saying, I just don't know if I have the right people for that right now. And I always tell people, goals are not about what you have right now. They're just what you want. Because if you realize what you want, again, urgency breeds creativity. You'll figure out a way to get the pieces you need to make it happen.
Love it. I got a question here from someone commented, what activities should a leader do to help their coaches who are successful but kind of stagnant?
What activities should a leader do to help their coaches who are successful but stagnant? Well, I think, again, it all starts with, and I'm going to give you a couple things because I don't know what you've already done, the person asking this question. You may have already done some of this. But the first thing, again, is you got to bring it back to, what do they really want? What do you really want in life? Because usually when you're stagnant, it's because you forgot about what you really wanted. When you know what you really want, man, there ain't no time to be stagnant. No time at all. I'm looking at dream houses right now, and I'm like, bro, there ain't no room to slow down. Okay, we got to keep pushing, because if we're going to buy this dream house, you can't have an off year next year. Like, we got to keep going. And so when people know what they really want, that's the fuel. I always say your fuel is two different things. What you really want in life, which I call your life vision, and what you want to do for the world, which is what I call your life mission. So what you want for you and your family, and then the change, the difference you want to make in the world. And the cool thing is, even if you run out of things to get for yourself and your family, there's always more to do for the world around you. I'm training 800 people, but I really should be training 8,000 people. And when I get to 8,000 people, I really need to find a way to help 80,000 people. So if they're stagnant, either they forgot about what they really want in life, or they've become comfortable because maybe they have a lot of the things that they want in life, and they forgot about the world that's dying around them as they sit there worried about their stagnant or their lack of motivation or whatever. The next thing I would do is I use a coaching process where I ask questions. Sometimes people don't do well with, hey, you really need to be doing blah, 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 blah. They don't take that very well. So what I do is say, well, let me ask you this. What is it in your business that you're missing right now? I know it sounds so stupid, but if you ask people questions, they're almost always willing to open up and tell you what they're missing. They may be stagnant, not necessarily because they have a lack of motivation. Maybe they're stagnant because there's some things they know they should be doing that they're just not doing. Maybe they stopped being engaged in their challenge group. Maybe they have stopped making time for their family. Maybe they've stopped having invites. I don't know what that is, but I like to always ask the question first to give them the opportunity to tell me what they're not doing. And then once you tell them, and once they tell you what they're not doing, okay, well, what is it you should be doing? What does that need to look like? Help them make up a game plan for that. And then you have to create accountability. Okay, let's get together. Let's talk about this once a week and just check in on this. Or one of my favorite things to do for all the leaders on the call that have, multiple people on your teams that are pushing for goals. One of my favorite things to do, and I do this with my mastermind group, is I have a spreadsheet that is basically an activity tracker. Okay? On the left column is their name. All of the names of the people that I want to include. Across the top are the activities that people are supposed to be doing. So it'll be, say, like a Monday Shakeology, Monday workout, Monday conversations, Monday invites, all of the different activities across the top. And I literally have that for every single day of the week. And what they have to do is they have to go in every single day and they have to check off all of the activities that they did. And what this does was it forces them to see with their own eyes every single day the things that they do and the things that they don't do. And most people really don't want to admit that they didn't do something, so they'll go ahead and do it just so that they don't have to say that they didn't. To me, that's the highest level of accountability there is some type of, and that's what my app does in my training group, but the app, it costs a couple $1,000s. I use a Google spreadsheet for more smaller, more intimate groups, because then you literally, having your information public is like the highest level of accountability ever, right? Which is why it's so important to post about your workout every day. Okay, just throwing that out there. That's an extra tidbit. You should be posting about your workout every single day because public accountability is the highest form there is. And so those are some of the steps. And maybe you didn't need all of those, but hopefully one or two of those helped answer that question for you.
Boom. So let's say, okay, you go through those things, you get their story, you get the pain point, you go through some of those things for the coaches that are stagnant.
Yeah.
Then I guess my question was going to be, what's kind of like the first action step for them? It sounds like it's going to be having them create that spreadsheet and then do accountability.
Yes. Yep. Having accountability has got to be the first immediate action. That's the number one mistake leaders make, is they walk people through, all these great game plans and stuff, and then there's no accountability. And it's the same way with team calls. We have these awesome team calls, and get everybody excited and fired up, and then there's really no actionable thing to follow it and no accountability to follow through with that. And at my event last weekend, we actually made time at my event in the workshops for people to actually do the stuff that we were teaching them. So we said, hey, we're going to teach you for 30 minutes. And then we're literally going to set aside 30 minutes to actually do the things that you just learned, because true learning comes from doing, not from hearing.
Right.
Otherwise we'd all be multi-billionaires from just listening to Grant Cardone.
Right. Okay, so you have these groups of like 800 people. You're working with these coaches that have thousands in their downline. What's like your best piece of advice for them to get their whole team to stay accountable? Because they don't, they probably can't keep every individual accountable, and you probably struggle to do that with 800 people.
Absolutely. So to keep everyone accountable, I would say is honestly the biggest change for me that I've seen, the greater results that I've seen this year in my training results as opposed to my training groups from last year has been the daily tracker, and then the health bet concept, where there's skin in the game. And that's actually something I learned from reading the 12-week year. He talks about having skin in the game. And then so I was starting to create this without even thinking about the whole health bet concept. And then I saw, I think, an ad or something from Beachbody about the health bet. And I was like, duh, health bet. Why had I not incorporated that into my training? So one of my clients was actually telling me this morning, her team, which is super rad, her team did this on their own. They created their own little health bet. And every single day they have this activity tracker like I'm talking about. And if you don't do all of your activities, you have to pay $5 into a pot. And everyone that did their activities gets to split the money, which I thought was like the coolest idea ever. And I'm a little jealous that I didn't come up with that idea, but that is awesome. So number one, there's got to be daily check-ins of the different activities. And then number two, there needs to be skin in the game. There needs to be some type of consequence for not doing it or some type of reward for doing it.
Number one, daily accountability, and then skin in the game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, 2 quick questions. One, best way for people to follow you?
Oh, yeah. So best way would be to go to my like page on Facebook, which is Legacy Leadership, or to go to Instagram. I'm Legacy Leadership Coaching. Or you can just look for my name. On Instagram, you just look for my name, Josh Coates, if that's easier for you. Obviously, I have a Facebook personal page too, but it's maxed out. You can follow me there. You just can't friend me there.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Someone just commented one more, but so my question was, last question I had was, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
That I've ever received. Wow. The best piece of advice. I mean, gosh, that's hard because I feel like all advice I've ever received was good. But
I'll ask you this last one. Maybe the other one will pop in.
Okay, sounds good.
So this is someone that works a 9-to-5 job and makes really good money, but wants that freedom. So to use your example, my family isn't in that house. I am. So you kind of nailed the struggle of urgency, he says.
So okay, say that last part again. His family isn't in the burning house.
Right, like
he
his
is
family's fine, like he's providing, he's making really good money, but he feels like he's kind of in the burning house a little bit.
Yeah, so he's trying to find the motivation because at the end of the day, his kids are fine. He can't use that for motivation. He can only use himself as motivation. And sometimes we are our own worst enemy in the fact that we're okay with burning as long as everyone else is safe. Right. So this is what I would say is if you're burning, so are your kids. Because you're actually teaching your children that it's okay. If financially you're okay, it's okay to be unhappy in your soul. And I would say that's the worst possible thing that you can have, is to be outward happy and inward defeated. I always tell people that your outward success is an expression of your inward growth. Sometimes you can have outward success without any inward growth per se because of the kind of career that you have, because of the kind of degree that you have. In my opinion, that's the worst kind of success that you can have. And so my advice to you would be to use your children as fuel to teach them what true success is and what true happiness is, or your children will grow up to do exactly what you've done. They'll find a nice, safe job, making plenty of money, living in a nice, fancy little house, and they'll be unhappy for the rest of their lives. And that's not to say that you're 100% unhappy, because I know that's not the case, okay? I know you're doing some personal development. I know that you're a happy person. I was a happy person when I was detailing cars, but my soul was literally like dying every single day. And that's not the way to live. And again, your children will do what you do, not what you say. So your house is on fire. It's just that it's burning a little bit slower because it's going to take longer for the fire to actually catch them.
Love it. Such a good answer. He wrote back, he said boom in all caps.
Awesome. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, Josh, I can see why you're helping all these top 10 coaches crack the top 10 and blow this thing up. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on here.
More than happy to, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know we're going to continue to follow you and see more of your stuff. So excited that you had the time to get on here. I appreciate that.
Yes, thanks again for having me, and thanks for everybody for hopping on. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Josh. We'll talk
You
to you
bet.
soon.
Bye, guys.
All right. See you guys. Actually, hold on. Sorry. All right, you jumped off. We can just do a boom on 3 anyway. Hold on one sec. All right, let me see if I can undo this. All right, guys, a little boom on 3. Gotta finish this week out strong. Hey, what's up, Mom? I see you. All
What's
right.
that?
Boom
What's
on
that?
3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Chris, what's up? Nice no shirt on a team call? Come on, bro.
Low nudity for the call.
I've been looking at that. I've been looking at that bare chest way too long.
That kid's on the
He's showing off his work. Yeah, it's good.
Right.
What are you trying to advertise? Are you advertising on our team?
Everyone here's a coach already, man.
I forgot I was on. I was just listening, and then I was like picking my nose over there too, and I realized I was on this thing.
Are you trying to steal? Are you trying to steal from our people here with that bottom?
We're starting a new trend here.
Oh, good.
Turn it off. Call.
Yeah, next time all the guys should have shirts on.
Just freak out whoever's talking. These top coaches. Question here.
How come all these guys don't have the shirts on?
That's funny.
All right. I'm out of here. Later, guys.